Good morning, student. Today we will study the third chapter of the book Geography, that is drainage. And the drainage means the river system of an area. In the physical map of India, you have noticed that there are many small streams which are flowing from different directions. They came to merge at a main river, which ultimately drains into a very large water body like a lake, sea, or the ocean. The area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. You can see here. This is a drainage basin. You can see here. This area is the drainage basin, and it is drained by a single river system along with its tributaries. Suppose the tributaries are coming from both sides of this drainage system, and the second drainage system is here, and these are drained by single main river along with its tributaries which are coming from different direction to join the main river system. And this is the upland area, mountainous areas, or any elevated areas which acts as a water divide. This is the water divide. This can be the mountainous area, this can be of any upland area, plateau or any hill, dikes or any kind of surfaces that divides the two river system, that divides the two drainage basin. In the another diagram, or you can see here, this is the water divide, this is the upland area. There are many tributaries of the river. These are the main river and these are the tributary river which are joining the main river and adding its water in the total volume of main river. Now look at this physical map of India. You can see the different river basins. The biggest one you can find here, this is Ganga basin, this is Indus river basin. All the tributaries of Indus are flowing here. This is the Brahmaputra river basin, this is Manipur basin, here Mahanadi basins, Narmada river basins, Tapi river basins, Mahi river basins, Sabarmati river basin, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. There are many rivers you can find here in this map. These are the different river basins. All the water coming through rainfall are draining into this single river system, single main river. In this Ganga basin, there are numerous tributaries. These tributaries adding water to the main river, that is Ganga. So we see the drainage system in India. These are mainly controlled by the broad relief features of the subcontinent. Accordingly, the Indian river system are divided into two major groups. First one is the Himalayan rivers and the second one is the peninsular rivers. And apart from originating from the two major physiographic regions of India, the Himalayan and peninsular rivers are different from each other in many ways. Most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. It means they are flowing throughout the year. Here you can see this is the Indus river system, Ganga river system and the Brahmaputra river system. These three river system or these three northern drainage basin of India have its origin from Himalayan mountain system. You see the Indus river which origins or which has its source near the Mansarovar river in the Tibetan region. Satluj also originate nearby around where the Indus rivers are origin, and the Brahmaputra river also getting originated near or eastern part of Indus river. It's very close and it is flowing parallel to the Himalayan mountain system. Then it enters here and take the U shape and enters India. These rivers receive water from rain as well as from snow melting from the lofty mountains. The two major Himalayan rivers, first one is the Indus river and the second one is the Brahmaputra river. Both of these rivers originate from the north of mountain ranges, that is near the Mansarovar lake in the Tibetan part of the China. They have cut through the mountains. And making the deep gorges with steep slopes of a mountain. The Himalayan rivers have long courses from their sources. These are very long stretch of rivers from the source of the origination to the mouth of the river. Mouth of the river means where the river discharges all its water into ocean or into sea or into lakes. They perform intensive erosional activity in their upper courses and carry huge loads of silt and sand. You can see all the rivers which are originating from the Himalayan mountain system cutting a deep gorges, and in this part of drainage system these rivers cut the rock beneath its bed or down cutting of the rocks and creating deep gorges. In the middle part and in the lower courses, these rivers form meanders, oxbow lakes and many other depositional features in their floodplains, and they have also well developed deltas. You can see here this is a drainage pattern. These are the different landforms which are made by the river system. You can see here this is the loftiest mountains and the rivers are originating from this source region. You can see here this region is known for permafrost, means all the year these mountains are covered with snow, and after flowing in this mountainous zone they cut the deep gorges, and when it enters the plain region you can find there is a meandering of river, and you can see here the this is the meandering of river when it enters the plain region. You can see the direction of river is meandering or moving like a snake, and this is the region where it forms the huge delta. They forms the delta when the river get distributed, or there are many distributaries which are coming out from the main river channel before they discharge their all water into the ocean or seas. You can see the river cycle and river landforms. This is the first stage when the rivers are youthful in stage, or this is demarcated by the source of river where the rivers are getting originated. You can find a lot of distinguished feature in this region, like V-shaped valley. You can see the shape of the mountains are V-shaped, and you can find a lot of waterfalls in this region, deep gorges. This is the second stage, or you can say mature stage, when the river enters the plain region. You can see there is a meandering of rivers, or rivers are moving like a snake. This is the meandering of rivers. This is the oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes is the distinguished feature in the mature region. These oxbow lakes are formed when the river shifts its new courses, shift to the new courses, and left out the some portion of river which is detached from the main river. And you can see the extensive flood plains which are formed by river through shifting of their courses, through deposition of sediments, and you can find levees on the side of river. And the third stage is marked by old stage, and you can see some special features of the river, like rivers are divided into numerous distributaries before they drain into the ocean, and before they drain their water into the ocean, they forms the delta through deposition of sediments. Now you see the drainage pattern. There are different drainage pattern you can observe in the mountainous areas or any highland areas where the rivers are getting formed. You can see it depends upon the slope, it depends upon the rock structure on which the rivers are flowing. These are the some geographical condition in which these different drainage patterns are formed. It is the general patterns you can observe if you look at the ground area from the higher reaches. You can find different patterns of river flowing. First one is the dendritic pattern, second one is the trellis pattern, this is the trellis pattern, and the third one is the rectangular pattern, and the fourth one is the radial pattern. You can see the dendritic pattern, it develops where the river channel or the tributaries of the rivers are flowing in the definite slope of the terrain. The stream with its tributary resembles the branch of tree. You can see this is looking like the branch of tree. That's why the name dendritic or are taken or given to this kind of pattern. The second one is trellis pattern. You can find trellis pattern. It is characterized by hard and soft rocks. These are characterized by alternating band of hard and soft rock. Suppose that this is the hard rock and the side Y is the soft rock. These tributaries are flowing parallel to the main river to some distance, then it cuts back this soft rock and joins this river at right angle. When the tributaries are joining the main river at right angle, then the patterns which are resembling are said to be the trellis pattern. You can see the ridges of resistant rock. These are the hard rocks in this map. This is the hard rocks. It develops in the areas of alternating weak and resistant bedrock. Resistant means hard rock. This is the alternating weak and hard rocks. Third one is the rectangular basin. You can see the rectangular pattern. It can be observed over strongly jointed rocky terrain, highly jointed bedrock. And the radial pattern you can find in the region of volcano or in the region of dome shape or on the dome, or you can say the peak areas, and the rivers are flowing in different direction from the top portion. These are the different patterns we have studied. You can find the different stages of the river You can see here the young stage. You can find this is V-shaped valley, and the river are cutting, and the erosional activity of river is toward down cutting. Rivers are doing down cutting of the rock bed, and thus they are creating gorges. You can see here, this is the gorge, narrow stretch of the mountains through which rivers are flowing with high velocity because of high gradient or high slope. You can find the waterfalls, rapids in this region only. When the river enters the mature stage, you can find this is the meandering of rivers. When the rivers are not flowing in the definite pattern, they are flowing where they find the slope is maximum, and these regions are characterized by oxbow lake. You can see this is the leftover portion of the river where these rivers were earlier flowing. Now this river shifts its new direction and left the some portion of river stranded, and that stranded portion of the river are known as oxbow lake. You can see earlier the rivers are flowing through this direction. Now you can say between these places, now it becomes closer here, it's again closer. Now the river takes the another direction. Now rivers are flowing straight, and left over this part of earlier flowing of the rivers, and that river, the early leftover part of the river, is known as oxbow lakes. You can see here, so different direction. This is the old stage, which is characterized by distributaries. The main rivers are divided into various channels, and these channels are known as distributaries, and through these distributaries they are forming the delta in this region. This is another diagram. You can better see how the oxbow lakes are formed, how what is the behavior of meandering of the rivers in the mature stage. You can see this is the point bar where the sediments are deposited here. This is the cutoff part of the river where these rivers are flowing through this direction. Through this direction these rivers are flowing through. Now this is detached from the river. You can see here. This is the bluff area or sediments which are deposited on the sides of river. A large number of peninsular rivers are seasonal. You can find the differences between Himalayan rivers and the peninsular river. The peninsular rivers are seasonal in its characteristics. They are dependent on rainfall only. They are not they have not the source of melting of snow. During the dry season, the large rivers are reduced to a considerable limit, and these rivers are very short, and these are not deep as the Himalayan rivers. These are very shallow. Some of the rivers in the peninsular part of India are originating in the central highland, and these are flowing towards the western direction. Can you identify it? It is Narmada, Tapti. These are the rivers which are flowing in the western part of peninsular India, that is in the Arabian Sea. And the most of the rivers you can find in the peninsular part of India, they are originating in the Western Ghat, and they are draining its water in the Bay of Bengal. Before they drain out their water in the Bay of Bengal, they forms the numerous deltas like Godavari Delta, Krishna Delta, Kaveri Delta, Mahanadi Delta. and these deltas are very fertile land because of continuous renewing of the sediments. Now we will study the Himalayan rivers separately. You can find here the Indus river system, Ganga river system, Brahmaputra river system. You can see the source of Indus river near the Mansarovar in Tibet. This is the sacred lakes for the Hinduism. These are most sacred lakes which lies in the Tibetan part of China, and these rivers drain into Arabian Sea. After crossing India, it enters the Pakistan region. Only 1/3 part of the Indus rivers are flowing in India, and the rest 2/3 portion of the Indus river are flowing in the Pakistan, and they are draining into Arabian Sea near the Karachi. See, the major tributaries of the Indus are Jaskar, Nubra, Syok, Hunza in the Kashmir part. In the Kashmir, these are the tributaries which are meeting or which are offloading their water into the Indus river and increases the volume of Indus river. And the Satluj, Bias, Ravi, Chenab and Jhelum, these are the 5 rivers. These are meeting the Indus river near the Mithankot in Pakistan. What is the source of these emerges from the mountains at Attock. After emerging from the mountain at Attock, the slope of the Indus river becomes gentle. Now it enters in the plain region of Pakistan, and total length of the Indus river is 2900 km. And the Ganga has its origin from Gangotri glacier in the Uttarakhand. It's also very sacred. This is sacred river for the Hinduism, and it drains into the Bay of Bengal. And the major tributaries of the Himalaya are Yamuna, Ghagra, Gandak, Koshi, and from peninsular side it is Chambal, Betwa, Son. These are the tributaries of Chambal and Betwa are the tributary of river Yamuna, which ultimately are the tributaries of river Ganga, which meets the Ganga river at the Allahabad, and the Son is the separate tributaries like Yamuna, which meets river Ganga near Patna, and the river Ganga forms the largest delta of the world. Can you say it? It is Sundarban Delta, and the name Sundarban is taken by the Sundari variety of trees which are found in the deltaic region of Sundarban, and these are mangrove kind of forest. Sundari are regarded as the mangrove forest, which are considered under mangrove forest, and these are the home for Royal Bengal tiger. And third one is the Brahmaputra. The source of origin for the Brahmaputra river is near east of Lake Mansarovar, and the Indus is west of Mansarovar, and the Brahmaputra is from the east of Mansarovar. The major tributaries of the river Brahmaputra are Dibang, Dihang and Lohit. You can see it take U-turn at Namcha Barwa. Namcha Barwa is one of the loftiest peaks of Himalaya. It lies in the eastern part of Arunachal Pradesh. You can see here Indus river. These are the Indus river. You can see here, this is the Indian part. Now they are emerging in the Pakistan. There are various tributaries of, you can see here, these 5 rivers of like Ravi, Bias, Satluj, Chenab, Jhelum are joining the Pakistan, joining the rivers Indus in Pakistan, and these Indus rivers are draining into Arabian Sea. This is the Karachi. What is Indus Water Treaty? It was a treaty of sharing of water of the river Indus between India and Pakistan. Through this treaty, India can use only 20% of the total water of Indus river. This was an agreement, this was a treaty between India and Pakistan, that India can utilize only 20% of total volume of water of river Indus, and the remaining portion will be utilized by Pakistan. Now we see the Ganga river system. The headwater of the river Ganga is known as Bhagirathi, or the source of river Ganga is Bhagirathi, and river Ganga is origin from Gangotri glacier. The source of river Ganga is Gangotri glacier, and Alaknanda river joined Bhagirathi river at Devprayag, or you can say in another word, the confluence of river Bhagirathi and Alaknanda river are known as Devprayag. It is a holy place. At Haridwar, Ganga river emerges from the mountainous area into the plain one. The Ganga is joined by many tributaries from the Himalaya, and few of them being major rivers like Yamuna, Ghagra, Gandak and Kosi. And these are the main rivers of the river Ganga, main tributaries of the Ganga. And the river Yamuna rises from Yamunotri glacier, likewise the river Ganga, which has its source from Gangotri glacier. But for the Yamuna river, it is Yamunotri glacier. It lies in the Himalayan portion. It flows parallel to the river Ganga. You can see here in the map, river Yamuna is flowing parallel to the river Ganga till it meets Ganga river at Allahabad. Yamuna river is flowing parallel to river Ganga till it meets river Ganga in Allahabad. The Ghagra river, you can see here the Ghagra river, the Gandak river, Ghagra river and the Koshi. These three rivers origin from Nepal Himalayas, and they are creating they are causing flood to widespread in this belt and causing widespread damage to life and property. But in spite, there is some good impact of flood, that it renew the sediment cover and increases the fertility of the soil. The main tributaries which come from the peninsular part of India are Chambal, Betwa and Son. You can see here Chambal, Betwa. These two are the tributaries of Yamuna, which ultimately meets river Ganga in Allahabad. And these rivers are are originating from the semi-arid areas. These are the semi-arid areas of the western part of Madhya Pradesh, and the quantity of water in this channel are not so large as in the case of the left bank tributary of river Ganga. River Ghagra, river Gandak, river Kosi has maximum volume of water which discharges all its water into the river Ganga, but in the case of Chambal, Betwa and so on, these rivers not carrying too much amount of water in its course. Enlarged with the water from its right and left bank tributaries, the Ganga flows eastward till Farakka. You can see here, this is the Farakka region, Farakka, where the river is bifurcated into the river Bhagirathi. One is Bhagirathi, and another one is river Hooghly. These both Hooghly and the Bhagirathi are distributaries, because the main rivers are again divided into two parts. The main stream flows southward. The main stream is flowing southward. Look at my cursor is moving here. The main river is moving southward before they drain into the Bay of Bengal. The river Ganga meets river Brahmaputra, and you can see here further down, after the meeting of Ganga and Brahmaputra river here, the name of this river becomes Padma. And you can see here the Brahmaputra river, when it enters the Bangladesh, the name of the Brahmaputra river are changed to Jamuna. These Bhagirathi and Jamuna meets to form the single river, that is Padma. That rivers, you can see here, this is the largest delta of the world. This is the largest delta of the world because these rivers are divided into various distributaries because of low gradient in its slope. The river channels are divided into various distributaries that led to the formation of the largest delta of the world, that is Sundarban Delta. And you can find here Royal Bengal tiger, and the name Sundarban is derived from the Sundari tree, which is extensively found in this delta. The total length of river Ganga is 2500 km, and the Ambala forms the white water divide between Indus and river Ganga. Ambala acts as a water dividing point. It is an elevated area from where the two river basins are divided. Now we come to the Brahmaputra river system, and it is known as Sangpo in the Tibetan part of China and Jamuna in Bangladesh. It carries less silt in the Tibetan part because of dry climate in these areas, and due to this dry climate, less volume of water are carrying in its channel. When this Brahmaputra river, you can see here in the map, this is river Sangpo in the Tibetan part of China. Now it enters near the Namcha Barwa. Here is Namcha Barwa. It enters India and take the sharp U-turn before they enter into the Dhaka. The river is known as Brahmaputra in India. When it enters the Bangladesh, the name of the Brahmaputra changes to Jamuna. Then it meets the river Gangas, and then the new river that is formed after the confluence of Ganga and Brahmaputra river is known as river Meghna. You can see here there are numerous tributaries of the river Brahmaputra: Lohit, Dihang, Dibang, Subansiri, river Tista. This is very fast flowing tributaries which joins the river Brahmaputra. And you can find the largest riverine island in the river Brahmaputra. And this Brahmaputra river, after entering India, you can see here this region experiences a large amount of rainfall throughout the year, and through this rainfall the volume of the river becomes enormous, that it crosses its channel and causing widespread flood. And this area in India, these Brahmaputra rivers are carrying a large amount of silt, which causing the bed of the river becomes rising, and that is the cause for the flooding of this area. Now you see we are coming to the peninsular part of India, and I will discuss the peninsular rivers here. The main water divide in the peninsular India is formed by the Western Ghat, which runs from the north to south close to the western coast of India. Most of the major rivers of the peninsula, such as Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and river Kaveri, flow eastward and draining into the Bay of Bengal. These rivers makes deltas before they drain into the Bay of Bengal. There are numerous small streams flowing west of the Western Ghat. The Narmada and Tapi river, these are the only two major rivers which are flowing westward into the Arabian Sea, and they are not, these two rivers are not forming deltas as in the case of the remaining four large rivers of peninsular India, like river Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. These four rivers are forming delta before they drain their all water into the Bay of Bengal. But in the case of Narmada and Tapi river, these two rivers are not forming any delta. These are forming estuarine. Narmada and Tapi river are forming estuarine or estuary. These two rivers are forming estuaries before they drain into the Arabian Sea. And the drainage basin of the peninsular rivers are in a small size if you compare with the Himalayan counterpart. So first we study the Narmada basin. This is one of the most sacred river of India, and the source of origin of the river Narmada is Amarkantak hills in the Madhya Pradesh, and it flows towards the west in the Rift Valley, and the Rift Valley are those valleys which are formed by the faulting or through the cracks which are developed in the earth crust. On its way to the sea, while moving towards sea, the Narmada river creates many beautiful locations, beautiful sightseeing, like the example of Marble Rocks near Jabalpur, where the Narmada rivers are flowing through deep gorges, and the Dhauladhar Falls. These are Dhauladhar Fall is also one of the beautiful sights that thousands of people of India are going there. To have a beautiful glance of these interesting features of river Narmada, where the river plunges from the steep rocks in the Dhauladhar Falls. Dhauladhar is a waterfall. It is one of the biggest rainfall of India. It is one of the biggest waterfall of India, and this river plunges over steep rocks and are some of the notable ones. All the tributaries of the river Narmada are very short, and they join the main stream at right angles. And you know that this kind of river patterns are known as trellis pattern. It means Narmada river are forming trellis pattern. All the tributaries of river Narmada are joining at right angle, and the river Narmada drains the parts of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat before they discharge all its water into Arabian Sea. So now second river under the peninsular part of India is river Tapi. It is also flowing in the Rift Valley, as in the case of river Narmada. The source of river Tapi is Satpura range under the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh, and it drains into the Arabian Sea as in the case of Narmada river, similar to the Narmada river. It is also flowing in the Rift Valley, similar to the Narmada river. And the main tributaries of the river Tapi is Purna, Betul, Amravati. The main tributaries of river Narmada is Hiran, Kolar, Tava. And this is river Tapi is called twin river of Narmada. River Tapi is called as the twin river of Narmada, and it is also forming estuary as similar to the river Narmada. Now we will study the east flowing rivers of the peninsular part of India. First we will study the river Mahanadi. Mahanadi river rises in the highland of Chhattisgarh. That highland is known as Dandkaranya. It flows through Orissa and reach the Bay of Bengal, where it discharges all its water there. And the main tributaries of the river Mahanadi is Ib, Sionath, Tel river, and one of the characteristic feature of this Mahanadi river is building of Hirakund Dam. Hirakund Dam. That dam is built on river Mahanadi. And the drainage basin of the river Mahanadi are shared by the state of Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Orissa. And the total length of this river is 860 km. Now we will study one of the most important rivers of India and most sacred rivers of the peninsular part of India, that is Godavari. And this river is also known as Dakshin Ganga. The river Godavari origins from Nasik district of Maharashtra, and it drains in the Bay of Bengal. And this is the largest river of the peninsular part of India. The total length of river Godavari is 1500 km. Its drainage basin is also the largest among the peninsular river. The basin covers part of Maharashtra. Almost 50% of its drainage area comes under the state of Maharashtra, and the remaining portion lies in the state of Madhya Pradesh, Orissa and Andhra Pradesh. Godavari has many tributaries as similar to many of the rivers we have studied, that is Purna, the Vardha, the Pranhita, the Manjara, the Vainganga, the Penganga. These are the tributaries of river Godavari. The Manjara, Vainganga and the Penganga are the very large tributaries which add the volume of water in the river Godavari. And the river Godavari, before they form delta near the Bay of Bengal, where it discharges all its water in the Bay of Bengal, it forms the dendritic pattern. Now we will study the river Krishna. River Krishna is also one of the important rivers of the peninsular part of India. It rises from the Western Ghat near Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra state, in the state of Maharashtra. It is also draining its water in the Bay of Bengal. The river Tungabhadra, Koyna, Bhima, Ghatprabha, Musi, these are the tributaries, these are the important tributaries of river Krishna. This is the second largest river of peninsular part of India. And the river basin is shared by the state of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. And the famous city of Hyderabad is located on the bank of river Musi, and this river Musi is the tributary of river Krishna. So we will cover this. Now we will study the Kaveri river, the fourth largest river of peninsular part of India. The Kaveri river has its source in the Brahmagiri range of Western Ghat, and it is also draining in the Bay of Bengal. The total length of river Kaveri is 760 km. 760 km. The main tributary of river Kaveri are Amravati, Bhavani, Hemavati and Kabini. It is draining into the three states of India, that is the Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. This is the main river of the southern India, and it is also forming delta before they discharges its water in the Bay of Bengal. And the river Kaveri makes the second biggest waterfall in India, that is Jog Fall, over the Sravati river, and that there are hydroelectric power station lies on the river Kaveri, which is supplied to the Mysore part of the Bangalore and the Kolar goldfield of river state Karnataka. The biggest waterfall in India is Konchikal Fall, which is located in the state of Karnataka. There, apart from these big rivers, there are some small rivers like you can see here Damodar river, Brahmani. These are the small river, Brahmani river. Just look at this cursor, Brahmani river, Damodar river. River Baitani is also located in the Orissa. Swarnarekha in Jharkhand state. You can find Mandavi and Juari in the state of Goa, Mandavi and Juari. You can see here there are various tributaries of the rivers in the peninsular part of India as well as in the Himalayan river system. You can see here river Krishna has its tributary like Bhima, which is joining from the left side. Tungbhadra. This is the small river. Pennar is one of the small river which is draining its water in the Bay of Bengal. Narmada, Tapi, both these rivers are flowing through Rift Valley or through a structural fault. That's why these two rivers are flowing against a slope. And this slope, the slope of Narmada and Tapi river is not similar to the slope we can find over the surface of earth. River Sabarmati, River Mahi, River Luni, these rivers are Luni rivers are said to be the inland river that drains all its water on the land surface only. Now we will study about the lake. This is the difference between Himalayan and peninsular rivers. Himalayan rivers and second one is the peninsular river. The rivers of the Himalayan region are perennial in nature, or they are flowing throughout the year. And the source of this peninsular river is lakes, and the source of this Himalayan rivers is glacier, like Ganga is originating from Gangotri glacier and Yamuna is originating from Yamunotri glaciers. And the peninsular rivers are not perennial in nature. They depends upon the rainfall to occur so that the volume of water may increase, but in the dry season the flow of the water in the river is very low. It has very long courses and performs intense erosion through making gorges, and special features of the rivers you can find in the region of Himalayan rivers, like meandering of rivers, oxbow lakes. These are the distinguished features which is associated with the only Himalayan river system. But in the case of peninsular river, it is shallower, depth is very shallow, and the course is very shorter. And the Himalayan river system, before they discharge their water into the ocean, they make dendritic pattern. But in the case of peninsular river, you can find a combination of dendritic, combination of trellis and rectangular pattern. And in the case of Himalayan river system, they are making well defined deltas. In the peninsular part of river also, the river Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri and Mahanadi are also forming delta. And the Himalayan rivers are very young in its origin, and the peninsular river show the graded profile, means they are not as young as in the case of Himalayan river. You can see here, this is the peninsular river which is very shallow, and the depth of Himalayan river is very high. You can see depth of river is very below. Now we will study the lakes of India. There are various lakes and you are familiar with, like famous Dal Lake in the Karnataka state. In that Dal Lake you can find a lot of houseboats, shikaras. They are a attracting point for the tourists. Thousands of tourists are going there to enjoy the houseboats, shikaras in the Dal Lake. You must have visited some or another lakes of India, and you must have enjoyed boating, swimming and many other water games, river rafting or many others. Imagine that the all the famous lakes, all the famous lakes of India like Nainital, Chilka Lake, Sambhar Lake, Wooler Lake, Dal Lake, these lakes would not have been. Then what would they have been as attractive as they are today? Have you ever tried to know the importance of lakes in making a place attractive to tourists? Apart from attraction for tourists, lakes are also useful to human beings in many ways. One fact is that the lakes of large extent are called seas. The larger lakes are termed as seas like Caspian Sea, Dead Sea, Aral Sea, Lake Baikal. These are the largest sea. There are natural lakes like glacial lakes, which the lakes are which are formed by the action of glacier through erosion of glacier, like Dal Lake. Dal Lake was formed through glacier activity, through glacial erosion. Second one is the lagoon. Lagoons are the brackish water or the saline water which are formed near the coastal area, like Pulicat Lake, Chilka lakes. These are formed through the deposition of sands in the form of spits and bar. These are the long deposition of sediments which covers the inlet of oceans and helps in the formation of lagoons like Chilka Lake, Pulicat Lake. And the lakes formed due to inland drainage like Sambhar Lake. Sambhar lakes are formed when the inland river discharges its water into Sambhar Lake. There are some man-made lakes like Nagarjuna Sagar, Nizam Sagar, Gobind Sagar, Rana Pratap Sagar in the state of Rajasthan. These are the man-made lakes. Now you see the importance of lakes. It has moderating effect on the weathers of the nearby area. They usually cools the nearby area, and this is unique for the aquatic life. It is helpful for the ecosystem. The lakes maintains the ecosystem in it and hence helping the aquatic life to grow and prosper. And the lakes are the source for irrigation and another domestic use purpose. And it also helps in ecotourism. People are visiting these important lake places like Nainital, Bhimtal, Navkuchia Tal. These all lakes are found in the same places of Uttarakhand state. You can see here there's some important lakes of India like Wooler Lake, Loktak Lake. Loktak Lake lies in the state of Manipur. Damdama Lake in the Jharkhand state. Dal Lake in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Pichola Lake in the state of Rajasthan. These are the important lakes. Vembanad Lake in the state of Kerala. Bhimtal is very near to Nainital in the state of Uttarakhand. These are the important lakes. Apart from these lakes, oxbow lakes are also formed in the plain areas. Now you see what are the roles of rivers in the economy of a country. How does the river helps in boosting the economy of a country? You can find a lot of industrial bases in India are located on the side of rivers or on the banks of rivers, and the rivers are useful for agriculture purposes, for providing irrigation facilities, and this is the source of hydroelectricity production. In the higher reaches of rivers, there are many dams are enacted for the production of hydroelectricity, and the rivers are helpful in the formation of vast flood plains, and these flood plains are utilized for the cultivation of crops or for the agriculture purposes, and it is the source for inland transportation. Rivers is the source for inland transportation. And the water from the river is also utilized for the domestic use. Now we see the river pollution. You can find through this picture how the rivers are polluted through the action of through the industry, through the waste disposal of through the waste discharged by the industry, municipal waste, and the domestic waste. As a result, more and more water is being drained out of rivers, reducing their volume. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial effluents are emptied into the rivers. This affects not only the quality of the water but also the self-cleansing capacity of the river. Now you can find in this time of corona, and because of proper lockdown facilities, and all the industries are locked and they are not discharging their sewage into the river. There is limited sewage draining into the river. Through this river has, you can see the rivers are now cleaning itself. This is the self-cleaning cleansing mechanism through which rivers clean its water itself. But the burden for the rivers is growing and growing as the new industries are opening up. They are draining their water untreated into the river system, causing wide scale destruction of the aquatic lives. There are various action plans which are launched by the government to clean the river, like National River Conservation Plan. The activities of Ganga Action Plan, first one that was initiated in the year 1985, was declared closed on 31st March 2000, and the steering committee of the National River Conservation Authority reviewed the progress of the Ganga Action Plan and necessary correction on the basis of lessons learned and experiences gained from the Ganga Action Plan phase first. These have been applied to the major polluted rivers of the country under the National River Conservation Plan. Now the new phase of Ganga Action Plan, that is Ganga Action Plan second, are now merged with the National River Conservation Plan, and this this National River Conservation Plan now covers 152 towns and located along 27 interstate rivers in 16 states. There are various plans, there are various target which are taken by this organization to treat the sewage before they discharge into the river. So we have completed this chapter. So we will meet in the next session of the new chapter. So bye.